So we've just arrived in Sarawak for a couple days of birding in the northern part of the state, and it's very different from Sabah. Most bird watchers and bird photographers go to Sabah because it's easier. There are a lot of roads into the interior, there's a lot of nature lodges, and even bird hides that have been set up specifically to view rare species of birds. Here in Sarawak, the situation is quite different. There are very few roads into the interior, and those roads that are there are rough roads, they're dirt roads, requiring four-wheel drive vehicles. There is a lot fewer lodges that are close to nature. Birding here in Sarawak requires a bit more adventure and exploration as well. The state has amazing forest and fantastic biodiversity, but a lot of it still has yet to be thoroughly explored, especially in terms of the birds. And there's a lot of potential to find interesting species here.
Come all the way here for two specific targets which will require a degree of planning, some specialized equipment, and a colossal amount of patience. But before we try for them, we take our time wandering the area, getting a feel for the surrounding forest, and trying our luck for other amazing Bornean birds. The beauty of birding in Borneo is that even along an old dirt road in the middle of nowhere, you always have the chance of encountering some incredible species. Although pretty much all bee-eaters are known for their bright colors, the red-bearded bee-eater is exceptionally beautiful, showing off intense shades of crimson and violet that contrast with its green body. It's also unusual among bee-eaters in that it is a bird of the forest rather than of open country. Fortunately, they can be somewhat easy to photograph if you're lucky enough to find one of their hunting perches where they wait near an opening in the forest for flying insects to pass by. The color of a bird's plumage can often tell us about the lifestyle of that species and what are the most important adaptations for it. For example, some birds may be drably colored like dead leaves, signifying that camouflage may be vital for their survival. In other species, bright colors, especially when they're seen in just the males, may indicate that attracting a mate by being showy is more advantageous than hiding. A great example of this is the male Asian fairy bluebird, which we happen to find further along the road. Unlike the female, which is a uniform navy blue, the male of this species is a contrasting mix of jet black and sky blue, certainly one of Borneo's most distinctively colorful birds. Seeing a rich diversity of birds in the forest, or even just hearing their distinctive calls, is always a good sign of a healthy habitat. Depending on the types of birds present, this can indicate a plentiful supply of fruits, flowers, or insects, and these are also often associated with a high diversity of other plants and animal species. So in a way, we can use birds as indicators of a healthy and biodiverse ecosystem.
It's sitting right there in the middle. It was sitting there for the longest time.
With that leaf.
It looked like a leaf, and then I checked it out closely, and then, I mean, you can see its face when it turns like this, but it's just a little too backlit.
With the temperature rising as noon approaches, we make a quick snap of a gold-whiskered barbet, the largest barbet in Borneo, with a huge appetite for figs and berries. Birds are getting more scarce at this time of day, except for a pair of whiskered tree swifts, which are taking full advantage of the hyperactive insects. Unlike other types of swifts, tree swifts can perch on branches, and they are often seen easily like this as they wait on an exposed perch before flying out to catch insects on the wing. The whiskered tree swift is certainly a handsome bird, with its unmistakable white eyebrows and whiskers. The male is distinguished from the female in having a rosy red cheek patch. While it's easier to spot birds on exposed roads, the birds, much like us, naturally want to avoid the scorching heat. So we make our way into the forest to try for any other species we haven't seen yet. Hunch was right. Shortly into the forest, we are immediately rewarded with the shade from the trees and a lucky find. A rufous woodpecker engaged in feeding at an arboreal termite nest. After an extremely productive day filled with birds, we head back to get a good night's rest and prepare our gear for our next targets. The array of spectacular and diverse birds we witnessed today has not only boosted our hopes for tomorrow, but also our appreciation for the amazing avian diversity Sarawak has to offer.
All right, we're heading out to a site now on a forested slope, one that I found about 10 years ago. This is a totally undeveloped site, so the birds here are completely unused to people. There's no permanent hides or anything, but this happens to be a very good spot for two shy endemic species, the Bornean banded pitta and the blue banded pitta. Also have to use a portable hide, because if the birds can see you, they simply won't come into view. We're going to set up somewhere up the slope here, and hopefully with enough patience, we might be able to get some shots of these two birds. All right, I want to set up just at the top of this slope right here.
Okay. So we're looking for a nice open area.
Yeah. Well, these rocks are quite good, actually. good place for pittas to perch. Oh. Right over here. Actually, this is a really good spot.
Yeah.
See right down in here? Good slope for pittas to come down out of the top of the forest there.
I see a clearing there as well.
Why don't we set up here? If I set up my hide here, maybe you can get a different perspective on the same scene from that side.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna head down and see.
If you're venturing out into the forest on your own, there are many factors to consider when picking a spot to set up your hide. If you choose the wrong location, you could wait for days and never see the bird you're looking for. Knowing about the habits of your target species is essential, not just what they're feeding on, but also how they prefer to move through the forest and the perches that they're likely to use. From a photographer's perspective, it's also important to select a location that gives you opportunities for clear views as well as good lighting and pleasing compositions.
Can I have the light, the headlamp, and the softbox?
Where did you put it?
Very top of that backpack.
Do you need a clamp?
Yeah, actually, that would be awesome. The magic arm.
Sometimes it's so dark in the understory of the rainforest that it's nearly impossible to get footage of birds without it being underexposed. To better our odds, we attach a rudimentary spotlight comprised of a headlamp and a flash diffuser to better illuminate the perches that the pitta is most likely to use, if it even makes an appearance at all.
So in the hide, yeah, you gotta sit very, very still and very, very quiet. And I'm used to just crashing through the forest, so having just sit still, shut up, and wait it's a different experience, especially in the jungle where, man, there's mosquitoes, horseflies, everything attacking you, and you just gotta hold it all in. I had a wasp hang out with me for 30 minutes just now. And yeah, I was quietly trying to get rid of it with a leaf and not cause a disturbance, but oh well, it's part and parcel of it.
Our long wait in the hides is interrupted when we notice a small furry object in one of the nearby trees. On closer inspection, it turns out to be a slow loris. Normally, these reclusive primates are only seen at night when they forage in the trees for insects and soft fruits, and this one must just be sleeping away the day.
Yeah, I hear the call, but it's really faint from my side. I think it's a bit louder where you are. Over. Sounds like it's really high up. Oh, it's the banded pitta. Do you have a clear shot? It's blocked for me behind the tree. Oh, it's clear now. I'm gonna try to get it.
All of Borneo's pittas are shy birds, and the Bornean banded pitta is no exception. Although we've seen this species at one of our previous locations in Sabah, photographing a completely wild and unhabituated bird is much more difficult, but also much more rewarding.
We've just spent the better part of 2 days waiting in the hides, and on the first day, we waited about 6 hours and finally got a glimpse of the Bornean banded pitta. And thankfully, it stuck around for a while. We got some great shots of it calling. It circled our hides a few times. We also heard the call of the blue banded pitta, an even shyer bird, but unfortunately, it didn't make an appearance so far. We're going to try a little more and see if we have any luck. But that bird is definitely in the area. We just didn't get a chance to get eyes on it yet. Anytime you do something like this with the hides, it's really a waiting game. Sometimes you're lucky, sometimes you're not, but above all, it takes patience because you have to spend a lot of time and slow down your schedule to match the time of the birds. What is it?
I can't really hear it anymore.
Okay, no worries.
Which is normal, I guess, for this area. Yeah, if I try to stand now, I think my knees are gonna break. So tired. But we did have a Bornean banded pitta come by, and honestly, just seeing it for a minute is so rewarding because you've been waiting for so long, being so patient, and yeah, just getting the odd glimpse it's wonderful. It's a wonderful feeling.
I think I hear it, but it's very faint.
From higher up the hill?
Yeah, more direction my lens is facing, but up the hill.
after a long, long wait, the star of the show, the blue-banded pitta, made a very brief appearance. It lingered for no longer than a couple of minutes, but thankfully long enough to get these precious few images.
Sitting in hides, waiting for birds to show up, and we succeeded. We got both of our target species, the Bornean banded pitta and the blue banded pitta, and these are two of Borneo's most prized birds. So even though we only saw these two species, 2 days was well worth it. While we were sitting there, we could hear so many other birds calling. Rhinoceros hornbills, like the ones that are calling now, white-crowned hornbills, lots of other birds that are very interesting, and it really goes to show how rich these forests are. Birding in Sarawak is a lot different than birding in Sabah. It's more difficult. You have to be more adventurous. You have to be an explorer, really. There's some fantastic forest in Sarawak that still remains, and a lot to be discovered there. So with enough time, perhaps we can find even more fascinating birds in Sarawak's forests. Even though we only got 2 birds for now, we're very happy with what we got in Sarawak, and we look forward to more explorations here.
Although it's sad that our birding journey through Borneo is finally coming to a close, looking back at these past weeks and reflecting on all the incredible species we've seen along the way, we can't help but feel grateful to have had the opportunity to experience these truly wonderful rainforests. Of course, despite having so many great encounters with the birds of Borneo, it's sobering to realize that we've really only just scratched the surface of what these amazing forests contain. There are still hundreds of birds we didn't see, and of course, the birds are also just a tiny component of the overall biodiversity of these ecosystems. We're also fortunate that there are such a good number of protected areas and national parks in the states of Sabah and Sarawak that not only conserve large areas of rainforest, but also make it easy to visit and enjoy the incredible wildlife and nature found therein. Hopefully, these areas will continue to be protected and even expanded so that we can ensure the amazing biodiversity of Borneo remains intact long into the future.